And now, here's Mike Muse with the political news.
So let's get right to it and meet the candidates.
That completes the opening statement.
We're going to get right to it.
On Sway in the Morning.
All right, Mike Muse is here, ladies and gentlemen, and like my good friend James said, you know, we do pay attention to what's going on in the political canvas, and I know that North Korea has been in the news as of late.
Yes.
And then most recently, North Korea warns the U.S. as it suspends South Korean talks over military drills.
Yes, Sway. So that news came out last night. Sway, it's, you know, every morning we talk about political news, we never really know which story to lead in with first because both is somewhat breaking news. Both are somewhat always important. But this one kind of came through the wire last night in the sense of North Korea is upset with the United States continuing operation with South Korea. Citizens, we talk about this all the time. And also, too, Sway, this isn't, as you know, this isn't anything new. United States and South Korea has always held these joint these joint military exercises. Citizens, as you know, South Korea is one of our most important allies over in the Asian Pacific and in the Korean Gulf. We have a base over there. It's used to help protect our allies in that area and also, too, to help protect South Korea against any attack that North Korea may have. Well, as we approach the summit, now, Sway, is all about mind games. Now we're literally citizens looking at a global game of chess. And so this point now is how do we move this chessboard? And so Kim Jong-un, the president of North Korea, is playing his card now by saying he's upset and doesn't know if he wants to move forward with this summit coming up next month because of this exercise. And here's how much it caught the United States off guard. Here is some comments from our press secretary of the State Department, Heather Neuart.
Well, they're certainly not provocative. These are things that we do all around the world with many of our partners and allies. These are things that have occurred for decades and decades. Again, I'll say this for a third time, Kim Jong-un had said that he understands the importance to the United States that we conduct these joint exercises. These joint exercises continue to go on.
So that is how it caught them off guard. Because Sway, in one point, Kim Jong-un was, as Heather just mentioned, he was against the joint exercises. Then, as we began to talk about having the summit, he was for it. He was okay with it, and now he is no longer okay with it. Sway, but that's the tactical aspect of it. That's the military operations of it. Now, Sway, let's switch over to the diplomacy aspect of it. North Korea has this negotiator who's going to aid North Korea, who's going to sit on the other side of the United States at the summit coming up next month, and his name, Sway, is Kim Kai-gwan. He is the vice foreign minister and a top North Korean disarmament negotiator, and he has come up with some strong statements, Sway. He said that also the reason why they're walking away from this agreement is he believes it's one-sided demand and that he does not see North Korea literally eliminating their entire nuclear arsenal. And so that is what America, and that is the pressure that the Trump administration has by agreeing to do such a summit. He has to walk away with North Korea actually saying we're getting rid of our entire nuclear arsenal. This negotiator, Kim Kai-gwan, said they're not having any of its way, that they have no interest in disarming North Korea whatsoever. Sway, as we've been talking about on this show, I've been mentioning to the citizens consistently, this is what the dictators of North Korea has always wanted from himself, from his father, to his grandfather. They've wanted to be a nuclear power. The reason why, if they are a nuclear power, they see themselves getting respect on a global stage. And so you and I have always just asked this question, then why would they give up all the nuclear arms in exchange for anything, right? And so they've always wanted to see that. But Sway, he has some tough rhetoric for the United States of America. This negotiator goes on further. He says, quote, high-ranking officials of the White House and the Department of State, including Bolton, who is the White House National Security Advisor, are letting loose assertions of so-called Libya mode of nuclear abandonment. It is essentially a manifestation of awfully sinister move to impose on our dignified state of destiny of Libya and Iraq. What he's alluding to, Sway and citizens, if you recall, when we went into Libya, we told Gaddafi to give us all of your weapons, all of your nuclear weapons, and return them to the United States. Gaddafi did that. Subsequently later, Gaddafi was removed and he was killed. Kim Jong-un has always been concerned about that. They've always been concerned that if we give up our nuclear weapons, what is going to safeguard us from having something like that affecting us? So essentially, the nuclear arms has always been his level of defense, if you will. It's almost a shield, right?
It's
to
his
make
leverage.
sure, it's his leverage. Make sure nobody doesn't come in and attack him. But he goes on further, Sway. He goes on to continue, and he says, quote, Trump risked becoming a more tragic and unsuccessful president than his predecessors if he didn't accept North Korea as a nuclear power. And so we have a showdown now that's happening. Now, again, citizens, this is all just talk. This was released by the state-run news agency of North Korea.
they have not unequivocally pulled away from the summit, but they're saying this is their position right now. So now we're looking at citizens. I mentioned a game of chess.
It's a chess match.
It's a chess match now.
Yeah.
But here's the question, Sway, is how does President Trump respond now? Because this happened yesterday evening and last night. So now today is a new day. So now we have to hear from the press secretary and see what her response is going to be on behalf of the White House.
How does the President Trump respond? You know what, Mike Muse? I have my ideas.
Yes.
But don't ask me. Let's ask the citizens.
Yo!
All right. How should the president respond to North Korea? 888-742-3345.
Now more of the daily news on Sway in the Morning.
All right. We're talking about North Korea. They warned the U.S. They plans on possibly suspending talks with South Korea in the summit next month.
Yes. So one aspect is because of the joint military operations between the U.S. and South Korea. But what seem to be learning even further, Sway, is that they are unwilling to denuclearize their entire nuclear weapons.
Okay, so what do you think? How should the United States respond? How should the president respond? We got Corey on the line from Memphis. What up, Corey?
What up, Corey?
Yo, what's going on, team?
What up?
I definitely feel like we need to walk away from it. It seemed like they're playing games. Like, I mean, it was amazing to me that they even wanted to come to the table after all of this silence and some of the tough talk. But now here it is. We got more tough talk, and we hadn't even made it to the table. It is a little, presumptuous of us to ask somebody to lay down every weapon they have, but we do need to think about, like, what are we really going to get out of this deal? What's our goal? What are we trying to achieve? Like, because they want to be a power. They want to be on the map, but realistically, it's just certain things we just can't allow because we know what they do to their citizens. We know what they do across the globe. So, we got to have some terms, but I say, exhaust diplomacy until you can't anymore, but right now it just doesn't seem like they really talk. It's a little stiffer than I would care for myself.
And this has just been the pattern they've shown over the decades, right?
It has. Since literally 1994, they've changed it. From 1994, there was one thing. And then 2002, they changed the agreement that they had. And then 2005. So, I can go on. And this has been under both Republican and Democratic presidencies. They've always done the old bait and switch.
Corey, thanks for your call. You're a citizen.
Sway in the Morning.
All right, we got Sean from Illinois on the line. What up, Sean?
Hey, Sean.
What up, Sean?
How you doing, Sway? Hey, I think this is the start of World War III. Israel, the Jews to get Israel back. The yellow man's face will rise is a Bible verse that speaks about this. North Korea, they're Asian. I know it seems racist, but it's a verse that this is the start of the beginning of the end of times. And if things keep going the way they go, a smooth-talking person will take over and become the new Babylon of the city, which is America, obviously. And so I just see this is going to turn very bad, and until we start to try to do something different about it. The Arabics are already trying to start a war over Israel the Jews taking Israel back. And then we can always talk about how someone said the Jews left black and came back white, but I don't want to go that deep. But yeah, I think it's not.
My man, Sean. Go ahead.
I just don't think this is a good thing for us. And what's crazy about all this, at the end of the day, Trump just said he's going to help a Chinese company that is known for making fraudulent computer parts and espionage. What's going on? Can we really trust all this that is coming together at once? This is crazy.
It's crazy.
Well, Sean, make sure you stay with us to the end of the segment because I'm going to mention that Chinese company ZTE. I do have an update regarding that. But wait, Sean is mentioning something really interesting that a lot of Americans feel. It may seem on the minority viewpoint, if you will, but you'll be amazed with how many DMs I get about conversations just like this.
Yeah.
And so this is what makes diplomacy so difficult, not only on the global stage, but domestically too as well. So many United States citizens have so many different viewpoints on these issues.
Yeah, now he brought up Israel, and Nikki Haley actually made some comments about Israel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we're continuing the story with Israel. Says, as you know, we reported on Monday that the United States Embassy was moved to actually Jerusalem, essentially putting a really strong stance on our support with Israel. Citizens, as you know, Israel is one of our strongest allies that we have and that we support, both from a diplomacy stage, but also from a staging aspect of it. So Israel, for this to backstory really quickly, at a time was one of the most stable countries within the Middle East. And as a partner, we could use that as a staging in case we had to make moves, operations within the Middle East to help stabilize it. So as a result, though, there's always been this notion of a two-state solution that we've been advocating for between Palestine and between Israel, and kind of sharing that country, if you will. By us actually moving our embassy, it sent a strong statement that essentially our position is with Israel, and that it removes us as the unbiased negotiator that is able to handle these two-step state solutions, if you will. Jared Kushner was brought on board. President Trump said that he was going to take this portfolio on, and that he would be the main one that would negotiate peace. He will be the only one to do it, and he'll be the best person to do it, Trump said. As a result of this, now Palestine has no trust in the Trump administration, nor in Jared Kushner's ability to be biased. As a result, citizens, of that move that we saw, the Palestinians were protesting on Monday and all the way into yesterday. And so as a result, up to this point, up to 60 people have been killed, and more than 1,700 individuals has been hospitalized, according to Palestinian officials. Sway, it was the worst one-day total since the 2014 Gaza war. Israel said that only a small number of those were shot and have been armed. Israel is putting this on Hamas, which is the de facto leader of the Palestinian regime over in that area. And here's what Nikki Haley had to say yesterday at the United Nations Security Council meeting.
Who among us would accept this type of activity on your border? No one would. No country in this chamber would act with more restraint than Israel has. In fact, the records of several countries here today suggest they would be much less restrained.
So this is Nikki Haley responding to and giving covering to Israel's response and saying how restrained they are. She goes on further way to say this.
Those who suggest that the Gaza violence has anything to do with the location of the American embassy are sorely mistaken. Rather, the violence comes from those who reject the existence of the state of Israel in any location. Such a motivation, the destruction of a United Nations member state, is so illegitimate as to not be worth our time in the Security Council, other than the time it takes to denounce it.
So that was Nikki Haley, citizens. Just to put everything in context really quickly. It all depends on how you perspective and how you look at it. There's some individuals who believe, now this is just in terms of regarding the violence on the Gaza Strip. There's some individuals who believe that Israel had a right to defend themselves, that the Palestinians were trying to come over through a small piece of the fence that was open, and the Israeli soldiers feared for their lives.
Literally a piece of a fence?
Was open,
and
the Palestinians were able to go through that. And so Israel, there's some people believe that Israel has a right to defend themselves, and the soldiers had a right to defend themselves because they would have been attacked. Another regard is the other side of the coin that says that you have to have understanding for why these Palestinians are upset, and that the United States would make such a move like this without making Israel give up anything. In particular, Israel has been very aggressive in moving forward into putting settlements into the Palestinian area that wasn't supposed to be settlements in there. So on their side, they're saying, hey, if you're going to put the embassy there, fine, but did you make Israel do anything in order to gain that reward they have been looking for? And so this is their way of protesting, if you will. So there's two sides to the coin and how it's looking. Citizens, I promise you on Monday, I was going to keep giving you updates about this. This is going to be a really ongoing story. The next ongoing story, just to update you really quickly, citizens, and to the caller from Corey mentioned on Monday, citizens, as you recall, we talked about ZTE, which is the electronics company that is over in China. It's Chinese second largest electronics manufacturer. They do electronics, and they also deal with cell phones and cellular technologies. There has been huge national security concerns from the United States in using this technology in their cell phones, and they believe that the Chinese will have ability to use it as tracking mechanisms to spy on U.S. or allies and the such.
But this belief is based on what? Do they have this company has a track record of this?
Yes, this company has a huge track record of it. There's also we have in place sanctions in place that no company where U.S. electronic parts are partly manufactured, and ZTE uses U.S. parts in their supply chain to manufacture products and goods, is that you cannot supply to countries that we have sanctions with. It's been known and proven that ZTE has actually sold products or given products to North Korea, also to Iran, breaking the sanctions that were as a result of that. In this tiff of going back and forth between China and ZTE, and also too with the U.S. in terms of the economic trade war discussions that's been going back and forth, the Trump administration issued crippling sanctions that will essentially wipe out 75,000 employees of ZTE. As a result, on Sunday night, Trump sent out an unusual tweet that alarmed a lot of individuals and kind of had people shaking their heads. He says, President Xi of China and I are working together to give massive Chinese phone company ZTE a way to get back into business fast. Too many jobs in China lost. Commerce Department has been instructed to get it done. The line that everyone is focused on is too many jobs in China lost. And the big question is, why are we concerned about Chinese jobs being lost? And his mantra during his campaign was make America great again and bring back jobs. And he always had something negative to say about China, where China was the reason why we lost our jobs altogether. And so that was alarming. Now what the Wall Street Journal is reporting and people are talking about now is there's a couple of reasons why he did this. Part of it is they're saying that, as you know, when he put the tariffs in place between the aluminum and steel tariffs to China, China responded by saying, well, they were going to put tariffs on agriculture. And particular citizens, you recall, I really mentioned how tactical and strategic China was. They actually went into the red states, where senators on Republican side are most hard hit with the agriculture. Think soybeans, ladies and gentlemen. So then what Trump did was, in retaliation, as well as national security concerns, did this to ZTE. Well, what we're seeing now is that yesterday is being reported that China was willing to give up, to walk back the agriculture tariffs if Trump was to walk back the crippling economic sanction that he's placed on ZTE. So that's one element of its way.
Okay.
But the second element of its way that is being discussed and talked about is that 72 hours prior to Trump making that tweet was that China invested $500 million in an Indonesian company where the Trump organization is putting a golf course and resort. So it's getting muddy and murky. Now, where does that lead us? Is that illegal? It depends if there was any things that can be said that there was a bribe, or is it the emolument clause that we talk about a lot here in the Constitution? That's why it's important for every president to divest all their business interests so that it doesn't look like you're making any policy and political moves in order to gain economic profit. And this is what happens. It could be nothing to do with the other, but just the optics of it alone brings into question, are you making policy that can help benefit your company and your bottom line, your profits?
All right, let us know your thoughts. Hit up Mike Muse directly. We're going to keep this conversation going off on online, offline, wherever.
Man, there's so much to get through, bro. Yeah. Hit me up, citizens, on Twitter and Instagram at I am Mike Muse, MUSNSAME.
We got sports up next.
Oh, yeah, we do, Sway. Things are heating up in Boston.
Shade 4-5.
Yeah.